What I should know about a flipped home, 2023 Ottawa edition. So you fall in love with your dream home. It's an older home, but it's been completely renovated and upgraded in and out, and it's exactly what your style and tastes are. It's checked off all of your boxes. You want it. But before you jump in with both feet first, there are some pros and cons that you need to be aware of. I'm going to share with you some of the things you need to be aware of about buying a flipped home so that you can avoid any potential headaches down the road, and worst of all, buyer's regret. Also, stick around and learn about what important document you should obtain when you buy a flipped home, which many people might not be aware of, and that your agent should be asking for. So you're still dreaming about that gorgeous flipped home that meets all your wants and needs. You're excited about how sparkly and new everything is. It's turnkey and absolutely perfect. But could it be lipstick on a pig? Lipstick on a pig means making superficial or cosmetic changes to a home, trying to disguise fundamental problems. So here are some of the things that you absolutely need to know. How long did the flip take? To flip a home properly takes time, but think about who's buying these homes typically. It's usually investors. And for an investor, holding onto a property for too long can affect their profit. However, with recent Canadian taxation changes that came into effect, an investor typically has to hold on to the property for a minimum of a year. Otherwise, they'll be considered in the business of flipping homes and therefore possibly subject to other tax implications. At any rate, the investor who flips does not want to hold on to the home. He wants to sell it and sell it fast, recover what he spent, and make a great ROI. With that in mind, as the buyer, you need to know the quality of the products used and the quality of workmanship. The faster the house has been remodeled, the more likely there are going to be issues with corners being cut and just overall bad construction and finishing work. I've seen my fair share of just hideous flipped homes that always leaves me wondering if people actually have eyeballs. So knowing this now, you've decided to place an offer with your agent. Whatever you do, do not skip on having a licensed qualified home inspector review the house from top to bottom. Another word of advice, hire a qualified inspector. Some buyers like to use family members who have done maybe a few renovations themselves. Typically, they do this to save money on the inspection or to make their offer more appealing to the seller by perhaps not placing a home inspection clause in there. The other thing you need to keep in mind is when you do hire an inspector, make sure they come highly recommended. Another thing you'll need to know is if all the proper permits were obtained. Under the Building Code Act of Ontario, a building permit is required for the construction of a new building, an addition, or any alteration of a building or structure with a building area over 10 square meters, approximately 108 square feet. Some of the projects, but not limited to, are listed below where a permit is required. Interior and exterior structural alterations such as adding or removing walls, creating different room sizes or uses, 1 and 2 story additions, new windows where there were none before, enlarging or relocating a window or door, plumbing alterations, additions, or extensions to a plumbing system, structural foundation repairs, and drain tile replacement. But did you know that as a buyer, just being provided permit documentation isn't enough? Keep in mind that the permit applicant requires to follow certain required steps during construction. This includes the sellers making the arrangements after certain jobs have been completed. An inspector will inspect the work at different stages to determine if the work has been carried out in accordance with the building code, the permit, and the approved plans. The inspector must always be able to see the work through these stages, and this is important to ensure safety and quality is compliant. After which, the construction of each project has been completed and inspected, a final inspection is then arranged by the seller, and if all goes well, the city inspector will issue what's called an occupancy permit. This is a document that you also need to have. The occupancy permit indicates that the home is fit for habitation and the seller has complied with the building code through all its stages. So as a buyer, ensure you always get a copy of the occupancy permit. And as a buyer, you can also check with the city to see if any permits were pulled and if occupancy permit has been obtained. This will take some time and it does not fall under the provisions of a typical home inspection clause. Again, your agent should advise you about placing a clause in the offer that speaks to you being satisfied with your findings pertaining to paperwork for construction, etc. So what is that other important document that you should obtain when buying a flipped home? Well, likely there has been some electrical work completed in the home. Was a licensed electrician hired? Only a licensed electrician can file electrical notifications of work and provide an ESA certificate of acceptance when the work is done. This document states the work is compliant and safe for you and your family. If the seller cannot provide you with a copy of the ESA certificate, you can contact the Electrical Safety Authority and request a search of records from the ESA. Again, ensure that your agent has inserted the right clause to protect your interests and allow you time to do that research. This search will show if there are any open notifications on the property since 2000. As per the ESA, keep in mind an open notification automatically transfers responsibility to the new homeowner for any work or defects that may exist. So there you have it. Just a few of the most important things that you need to know and have in hand if you're interested in purchasing a flipped home so that you can have peace of mind and avoid lipstick on a pig. I'm excited to share with you my next video. Should I have a pre-listing home inspection before I list my home? In the meantime, if you have any real estate related questions, please drop me a line. We'll see you next time.